This is Cruise Control.
Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staub and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cruise Control. This is your on-air automotive magazine. We are ready to hit the road, we being me, Les Jackson, and you know that guy, that's Fred Staub. And and no, you're not driving, Fred, so you can look all over the place.
All right.
To look out the windshield.
Okay.
However, we have a bunch of very different stories today. And we want to get as many in as we possibly can, because there's an awful lot going on in the industry. We say that all the time, but the fact is, we can't say it enough.
Yeah, that is true. That is true, Les. And hey, if you're on the market for a very fuel-efficient and price-efficient car, we're going to give you the details on the new Honda Civic. We got pricing and MPG numbers on this, and they're pretty impressive.
They are that. A Civic is just a great car. It's been around so long. And speaking of been around so long, a great Jeep is going to build $25,000 E that's trail rated.
Yeah.
I hope they can do that.
Yeah. They say they can, and it will be pretty amazing. So we'll have to see if that can happen. And Apple wants to take control of your dashboard. Now, we will dig into this, and some say that this is the reason that GM wants to move away from Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So we'll kick this one around. It's interesting, and we'll see what you think.
I'm going to carry a big placard. Don't touch my dashboard. Hey, in France today, Lemans is happening, the 24 hours of Le Mans, and Mustang is making a big showing there. This is, I tell you, Ford has just come to dominate this race. It's
That's
history
right.
all over.
Yeah, it actually went off. The main event actually went off about a half hour ago. I found it interesting that Porsche was saying, all right, we've got the pole over Cadillac. And I thought, yeah, but you've got 24 hours of racing, so it's not a drag race where you can start halfway down the track. No, it's a lot to go. Anything can happen, as they say. We'll also take a look at some of those races that happened before the race. There's a fun one called the Fun Cup with modified Volkswagens. It's a 4-hour race, and they switch off, which I think is kind of fun. Then we'll also take a look at a display of Royal Land Rovers, which is interesting. Both the departed queen and her husband were car people. They like cars a lot.
That's right. They were. And we will be talking tech. A new innovation could mean your steering wheel will get a vintage look. I like this idea.
Me too. Me too. So much to go on Cruise Control. Just getting started, so buckle up, because we will be right back. Fred Staub and Les Jackson, you're on Cruise Control.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We are with you every time at this week during, just bringing you what's the latest going on in the automotive industry. A lot going on this weekend. Lemans is running right now. And then, of course, there are new vehicles being released. And we want to bring that information to you so you have the best information you can have if you go out to the dealer and you want to take a look at some of the newer models. And so we're going to talk about the Honda Civic. Honda Civic, always a great value play, and it gets completely redone. It's arriving at the Honda dealerships this week, or it has arrived this week, and available in a couple of different trim levels, and MPG is great on all of them. It starts out with the LX, Les Jackson, 2-liter CVT, MSRP of $24,250, with the destination $25,345, and EPA mileage is 32, 41, and 36.
And this is a car that, if you just simply maintain it, will last 250,000 miles. They're just, you can't say bulletproof, but they're just marvelous cars.
Then if you step up to the Sport, it is an MSRP of $26,250, and with destination $27,345. On the Sport model, it is 31, 39, and 34. Mm-hmm. That's up on the highway 2 miles per gallon from the previous model. Then we're going to talk about hybrids, right?
Well, that's right. Now, for $28,750, you can go to the hybrid. I'm sorry, with destination charge $29,845, and your mileage goes up with it, which is 50, 47, and 49. So basically, you're always getting 50 miles to the gallon.
Oh, yeah. You can beat these numbers easy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you drive conservatively, just normally.
Yeah.
And that's remarkable. It's a very, very reliable car for not a terrible amount of money. I mean, it's considering you're paying twice that as the average sales price of the average vehicle sold in the country.
Right. And it's safe too, because it has what they call their long-standing approach, safety for everyone. So it has enhanced Honda sensing. This is the 11th generation Civic, by the way, and it is a leader in its compact class, thanks to all these active and passive safety solutions. So it is quite interesting, isn't it? And it is built. So let's see, the sedan is built in Ontario, Canada, and the Civic hatchback is built in Greensburg, Indiana. So there you have it.
Yeah. Nice color, too. Nice color blue that they offer.
Yeah. And I would probably get a hatchback hybrid. How about you?
I would probably do the same thing, as long as it doesn't ride too hard.
Yeah.
Or choppy.
Yeah.
I have to sit in it.
Yeah. Well, maybe you would go for the Sport Touring as opposed to the Sport Hybrid.
Well, that's right. I actually have a G-Force app on my phone.
To tell
where I can monitor, how much the car is, is just
jouncing.
Routine drive.
Jouncing.
It's
Jouncing's one of those words that seems like it is.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like what it is.
Yeah. So something to consider if you're looking for a small vehicle, or you want to add a second vehicle, or you say, I want a vehicle that I can commute in and not burn a lot of gas. One of these could be it. Even the regular non-hybrid ones are 40 miles to the gallon, and you can probably do 45 without trying.
And regular gas. It's important, to look at what type of gas you're proposed vehicle uses.
Yeah.
Because it can be a big difference in how filling a tank.
Yeah. And remember, too, if it does say premium preferred, you can use regular, but you won't get the performance. The computer will sense
That's
the
right. Will
lack
not
of
hurt
octane.
the car.
Yeah, but it's not gonna blow the engine up or anything like that.
No.
But you couldn't blow the engine up on the next vehicle we're going to talk about because it doesn't have an engine. And
that's true.
And there was an investor event for Stellantis, and what they talked about was using affordable lithium iron phosphate batteries. Jeep plans to launch 3 new models, including the Recon EV, the Compass, and a revamp to the full product lineup by 2027, including the Wrangler as well. They say they will have a 25,000 EV, trail-ready EV, coming up by 2027. So we will have to see what that is and if it can hit that target. Because as you know, many companies, GM being one of them, they set low targets, Tesla being another. They set low target numbers, and they talked about $25,000, but magically it became 35 or 40, right?
Very, very magically, and by the way, predictably for some of us, because we told you so back then.
That's right.
But I believe Jeep. I believe they can do it. Big question is, will they make any profit?
All right. Well, we will be right back with more Cruise Control after this. Stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. We are just flying through what's going on in the industry, and of course, it never ends, especially with reveals all the time. Not like the old days when you had to wait every year for a big auto show somewhere.
Yeah, that kind of has gone away, Les. You and I reported that the Geneva Auto Show is gone, and I think they'll still exist, but they will exist for people to go and look at a lot of cars and trucks in one place without being sales pressured. How's that?
I think you're right. I think there'll be an occasional review at an auto show, but that's becoming second tier.
Yeah.
First tier is anytime.
Yep. Exactly. So, Let's talk about this. This is an interesting topic because I think a lot of people in our audience will want it explained. You and I have been talking about this, that GM has decided to move away from Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Of course, these are widely popular, let you use your navigation apps, let you hear your streaming audio. All kinds of things can be used in your vehicle, and it's projected on your screen. And you can, it doesn't matter if you have Apple or Android Auto, they both work approximately the same. Well, Apple says the next generation Apple CarPlay will control every screen in your car, including the instruments. And they are going to take over all of that with an Apple phone. In other words, they can modify it for any car, so not every car looks the same when you look at it gauge-wise. But I would imagine that means they get all the data from everybody on everything that the car is doing, right? And they have that to sell.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little wary of this. I'm not skeptical yet, but wary of it. I don't want an outside application to take over the car's function.
Yes, and
that just bothers me. And I think the engineers who built the car don't want that.
Yeah, it's already happening. Porsche and Aston Martin were the first to adopt the new CarPlay, and more will follow. And what's interesting, I'm wondering if you have to have an Apple phone for this. So you have to
I'm sure you do. Yeah.
So in order to drive your car, you have to have an Apple phone in order to see the gauges?
Maybe, and I don't like that. What happens if your phone's battery dies, or you forget the phone, or the phone drops on the ground and breaks?
I'm not sure. Or is it something like Google built-in, where other car makers have gone to that Google built-in, where you don't have to connect your phone, it's just there. It's there somehow. I don't know whether you're paying monthly fees to connect to the internet, or that's built into the car, or what. But there's a lot of concern about it. GM was very, very concerned about this, and that's why they have decided, one of the reasons people say they have decided to move away from that and do their own system. The other thing is they've been looked at for selling data to like insurance companies and things like that.
Well, yes, and let's not forget that the Department of Justice, just 3 miles over that way from here, has filed an antitrust lawsuit against Apple for forcing automakers to adopt CarPlay, and that's not a good sign.
No. And I believe Apple said, you don't understand, so, butt out.
Yeah, well.
That doesn't work out too well.
There are plenty of car guys at the Justice Department and everywhere else.
Yeah.
So I just, as I say, I'm wary of this. I believe I'm going to become skeptical.
Okay.
And then I believe as time goes on, I'm going to become very negative. but
that's
right
a
now,
natural progression through. Once again, we're not against technology, but it just seems like this. First off, we don't completely know where this is going to go, but it seems like it's not going to a great place. Is all I'll say. It
just seems like it's going to get out of control.
Yeah, it does. And of course, Apple kind of gave up on their Project Titan, which was building a car. So
yeah.
we'll just control every car then. How's that?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm sure you feel the same way as I do about all this. That tread carefully.
Yeah, tread carefully, and you don't want a monopoly, and you don't want to be told you have to buy an Apple phone. Or maybe it's not going to be that way, that it's just there, and basically they'll give you the internet for free. But I don't know. I just don't know how well this is going to work. We want to hear from you. I mean, would you like it if you were forced to buy an Apple phone? Do you think it's a bad idea for any company to have control of the complete dashboard in your vehicle, including gauges? I, for one, still like analog gauges. I like them.
Me too, and I'm glad I'm Android.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with this. I'm sure we'll hear plenty more about it for sure. But so Le Mans 24 and 2024. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is. It's the hardest race in the world.
Oh yeah.
Imagine having to drive something flat out for 24 hours. Of course, you're
Switching
sharing
off
the driving with every 4 hours or so with your co-driver, but still, it's not like you can sleep in the interim.
No, you can't. You certainly can't. And big news for Ford. Of course, Ford has made Le Mans a proving ground per se and a big way of showing off their brand, what their brand can do, and they're doing it again with the GT3 Mustang, which there's a lot of them competing in that segment, and it's a race within a race. It's 3 or 4 different categories, right, of cars.
Oh, it's many different categories, and you can therefore win your class or lose your class. And these Mustangs, boy, I mean, they are serious Mustangs.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm sure they'll do very, very well.
Now, I have a question for you because I'm not as familiar maybe as you are. So the hypercar is the top of the range at Le Mans, right? One of them has to be the overall winner, right? or could a slower car just outlast them?
While it's possible for that to happen, it never has.
Right. So, Okay. So does this come down to then in the GT class Ford versus Chevy like it always does? Because the Corvettes are there, and they always do very well.
But they do well, but there is Porsche, there is Ferrari, and there's Mercedes, and there's some very, very capable companies with very, very capable cars. But yeah, you're still going up against Ford. To tell you how much money they spend on this, in 1966, the famous Ford versus Ferrari.
Right.
1966, they spent $23 million.
Wow.
To beat Ferrari.
Wow.
And how much is that today?
Yeah, bragging rights.
$350 million.
Wow. Bragging rights are expensive for sure. So. Hey, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Le Mans and plenty more information on cruise control. So stay tuned. We will be right back. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub and Les Jackson, we are with you. Don't forget, check us out on social media, and you can see a lot of extra video content and a whole lot of other things. Just go to Cruise Control and Cruise Control Radio, and you can check those things out. Les, care to talk a little tech?
Absolutely. Talking tech, first of all, we love to educate our listeners and ourselves.
Yeah. So,
do
you remember when airbags came out, driver airbags? All of the design of a steering wheel that was a touch point, obviously the touch point of any vehicle, anything you touch or look at all the time, that's how you experience the vehicle. All of it went away. You had this, it looked like somebody took a stack of 2 or 3 books and put them in the center of your steering wheel. That's when airbags came out.
Yeah, they put like a little back support pillow in the center.
Yeah, exactly. And it became like they were so big and they had to do it, and it really kind of ruined the look of the vehicles for many people, because sometimes they would customize it with a custom steering wheel. Remember, it would be a way of customizing it and making it your own. Well, that got a little bit better as time went on. The size of the airbag shrunk down, and some manufacturers were able to make it a little bit more stylish. But it's still a big plastic blob in the middle of the steering wheel.
It is. It has a little horn button embossed on it most of the time, but it's not stylish.
No, it's not stylish. It's a big piece of plastic. So, one manufacturer, ZF, the same people that make the transmissions, they have a division called ZF Life Tech, and they are coming up with the airbag that will be in the top of the steering wheel rim, enabling screens. Now, they're talking about putting screens in place of the hub, but to me, this could mean that we could go back to some kind of retro-style steering wheels with just a horn button in the center with a logo on it, don't you think?
Which I like. I don't care for the idea of a screen in the steering wheel. Now you're really taking your eye off the road. Just have a horn button with your nice, beautiful logo. But I do kind of like the idea of the airbag coming up at the top and blanketing you, knocking you unconscious when it opens.
Well, what happens when the airbag inflates and you're holding the steering wheel?
There's an interesting problem, but it's going to sense whether you're holding the steering wheel in the wrong spot.
Okay.
It's got sensors that determine what your position is. Obviously, that you shouldn't be holding your wheel at the top. Those days are long, long, long gone. I've been teaching that in AARP classes for years. You hold it in the 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock position, or even lower, 8 o'clock, 4 o'clock.
All right.
Not 10 and 2. That is not where you should hold the wheel.
And also, another thing to notice, most manufacturers use the same steering wheel throughout their whole lineup.
And they sure do.
And that's a cost thing. They probably have to get it run by, for safety, for cost. And it's the same steering wheel. Remember one year they had the Cobalt steering wheel in the Corvette?
Yeah, Corvette buyers were furious about it.
Yeah, it's like, well, why don't you just put the Cobalt floor mats in there, too?
Yeah, why not?
Here, I wanted to tell you about some of the support races that are happening at Le Mans this week, because we had someone send us a question about when you say support races, what do you mean? These are just kind of races that happen maybe on Thursday or Friday at Le Mans, and we want to tell you a little bit about them. They're fun. There's a Road to Le Mans, which is a kind of for up-and-coming drivers to get familiar. There is the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, which is basically you have to have a Super Trofeo, right? A Lamborghini to drive in.
That's yes.
There is a Ligier European Series, which is Ligier is a JSP4 prototype. So, and then there's the fun one, the Fun Cup, which has those cars. They look like Volkswagens, like Volkswagen Bugs, but they are really are full tube frame based race car. It's a 4-hour endurance race. I saw a story where a guy did it with his dad. They would switch off, and they want to have 118 cars in that,
That's
which is
a
big
busy
field. But that looks like fun because it's not a lot of power, but it's good racing, you know?
Well, and that's the most fun racing. You know, if you want to race, you don't want to, be a champion.
Blow up your wallet.
A Miata. That's
Yeah.
right. Get a Miata, an old Miata that's mechanically good, and go out and race it. You're not going to hurt yourself. It's just powerful enough to fly it through the turns, and you won't get in trouble.
No, you won't get in trouble, and as I say, you won't get in trouble with emptying your wallet either.
Yeah, your wallet will thank you for it.
Hey, let's talk about something new from Mini Cooper 4-door. The new Mini, they've kind of stripped it down to basics and made it, a more basic vehicle, I guess. And they announced that the next member will come to the U.S. is a 4-door Mini Cooper. Enough space for 5 passenger, and of course easier to use for rear passengers than the 2-door. 3-cylinder. It 3-cylinder, 156 horsepower. 0 to 62 in 8 seconds, and a top speed of 134 miles an hour. Do you think they've made it too plain, Les Jackson?
You know what? I think they have, because their prices tend to be pretty pricey.
Yes.
And you don't get an enormous amount in the current minis. So if they've kind of toned it down, I hope the prices get seriously cut for this, because otherwise, I think people will just walk away from it.
Interesting. Well, they have, of course, there is a slogan, because there has to be a slogan. It is the car company. They call it charismatic simplicity.
I see. That's what they used to call me.
Charismatic simplicity?
That's it. Well, they used to call me other names too, but the fact that okay, I mean that's not a bad description.
No. Going back to basics, I guess. I'm just wondering if they've made it just like every other car.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. I remember one of our colleagues, a English automotive journalist, told me once that he was disappointed with Jaguar because you used to be able to tell a Jaguar coming down the road, but they made it look like every other car, and so it kind of lost that. They certainly haven't changed it on the inside. It looks like someone mounted a pizza to the dashboard.
Yeah, a very, very colorful pizza.
But we'll have to see. I don't know. I'm not big on the pizza screen. It is a large. It looks like a pizza pie pan mounted.
Yeah,
and it's a screen.
It just looks out of proportion. And these previous screens in the previous minis has at least been size-wise proportional to the car. This just looks big.
Yeah. It's like, why'd somebody do that? But I bet it's expensive, too, to get a screen, a circular screen.
I bet it is. And I think, well, a lot of people really like minis, and a number of people have told me they'd love to have one, but then they they look at the price and it's $45,000.
You can get a lot of vehicle from another manufacturer for that.
Wow.
You can get something really, really nice and not even spend that money, so.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Royal Warrant. The Royal Warrant, you know what a Royal Warrant is, right?
Yes.
It is like the seal of approval. And there's a great display of Range Rovers that were used by the royal family. We'll tell you about that and a whole lot more on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with Fred Staub and Les Jackson. We will be right back.
Cruise Control.
Good afternoon. I say, Governor, can we have some high tea, please? We're going to go over to across the pond to visit the royal family. How's that, Fred?
That sounds good. That sounds good.
Oh, no, it didn't.
I'm being nice here.
You're being very generous on that, but
Yes. So the royal family they've always been car people, haven't they?
they have. I mean, you and I were talking. I've personally met one of them, yes, and they're very, very into cars. And of course, we know that King Charles has that terrific
Collection.
Aston Martin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Aston Martin and Range Rover. They're Range Rovers that have been used by Queen Elizabeth II are going to be on display at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. And they have many of them. The oldest one is a 1954 Land Rover Series State Review vehicle. And they have a number from the 50s, a 1974 that was used until 2002. They got a lot of use out of that, didn't they?
That's a lot of use, yeah.
Modified rear fold-away seats and a lectern containing concealed umbrellas. Wouldn't you want that in your range?
I would.
Yeah. And then there was one that we were showing that had blue lights on it. So when the royal family was traveling in it, they would use it as a support vehicle. But when the royal family was in it, they would turn on the blue lights to know that there was a royal in there. That's interesting, right?
Yes, I didn't know that. It's just fascinating. It's so classy.
Yes, I used to like that the Queen would drive herself to church in a Range Rover.
Yeah.
I just thought that was neat and fun, and a lot of Range Rovers, a lot of Jaguars, a lot of course they wouldn't like the show, I'm sure, but if you watch the show The Crown, they had a beautiful collection of cars. Yes, Aston Martins.
Right.
And they were driven around in incredible Rolls Royces, two-tone Rolls Royces, which I thought I loved driving, but I wouldn't mind being driven around in one of those.
No, I've actually been driven around in one of those here at an event in D.C., and I really liked it.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Yeah, we're going out to the restaurant. You just
sitting in the back drinking wine.
Yeah.
I could get used to that.
Yeah, I said that, and that show had everything. It had original minis. It had, as I said, Aston Martins, Bentleys, whoever did the cars for that really found some nice ones, and really found some nice ones.
It's just great. I really am glad these kinds of things are kept like at a museum level conservatorship rather than just being sold off or crushed.
Right, and somebody's using it, to, I don't know, paint houses, and it's got paint all over the back of it. Yeah, yeah. And in many cases, Jaguar takes these back and restores them or preserves them. So pretty good stuff. Hey, I got a question for you. Here's an electric vehicle we have not talked about in a long time, and it is made by Nissan. It is the Nissan Leaf. It is kind of long in the tooth. It actually still looks kind of nice. It is on sale now, starting at $28,140. Here's the rub, though. The base model comes with a 40 kilowatt-hour battery that only gets you 149 miles of range, and that seems like it's 6 to 8 years ago, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but again, if you're in an urban area, like I am, 149 miles will give you easily 3 or 4 days of commuting into town.
Well,
and then plug it in to top it off at night, or just wait a couple days to top it off. You're not taking a trip in it.
You can get the SV Plus for a pretty big jump, 36,190. That has a 212-mile range. The
That's
point
big
being that you think back to the Bolt and how good that was, and that had, what, a 250-plus mile range for a lot less money.
Yep.
So, still a good-looking car, but I wonder, will there be another generation of this?
I don't know. The sales don't seem to be super big.
Yeah.
But there is a following. I know 2 people that own them, and they love them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's just this. I think for existing buyers, they'll sell very well. But for new buyers of electric vehicles, the range anxiety will scare them off.
I'd rather have something like the upcoming Kia EV3. I think that would be fun.
Yeah. Well, you keep predicting it. I agree with you that Kia and Hyundai are going to own the EV market.
Yeah. Well, they're making designs that are fun. They're different. They stand out enough, but they're not too far out there. And I happen to just like the squared off EV3. I think that I look forward to driving it and trying it out. And
it looks like a station wagon.
It looks like a station wagon. We're actually going to have a review of a vehicle from Toyota. It's not an EV, it's a hybrid, but that does look like a station wagon. It looks like, I'll call it a high wagon. And maybe that looks coming back, Les. I don't know. I mean, you don't need all that bulk.
You know, people, I think, are just beginning to realize that. And maybe in the next 5 or 6 years, we'll see a shift. It'll be obvious if it's coming.
Well, we'll tease one of our upcoming stories. One manufacturer said they may get back into sedans, and the thing being they would get back into them because they have better aerodynamics than an SUV. And if you're talking electric vehicles, better aerodynamics or
better looking. Better looking.
Better looking. And as always, somebody who says, yes, we're going to build sedans, they will find that niche, and everything's a big circle. It will go back, and in 25 years, we'll be talking about mid-size sedans as the hottest.
That's exactly right. But I, as you know, am a very, very big advocate of sedans. And we'll be talking much more about that in the coming weeks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I just think there's room for everything too. There's room for everything. So we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cruise Control. Don't forget to check us out on all our social media platforms. Look for Cruise Control or Cruise Control Radio. And if you missed the show, we'll post them up there and have a lot more content too. And as I said, coming up, we're going to have a review of the Crown Signia, which is the sort of station wagon version of the Crown, which is the vehicle that replaced the Avalon, but the Crown is sort of a high-riding sedan that gives you the seating position of an SUV, but kind of the silhouette of a sedan. Well, they've come out with a version that is sort of like a station wagon. What's interesting, I got to drive the prototype vehicle very quickly. You know, it's a pre-production vehicle, but I tell you, it's an exciting time when a vehicle like that can be all-wheel drive and get 38 miles to the gallon easily, and it can
pretty good.
Can easily do that. So we appreciate you listening to Cruise Control. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
Chauncey Wigglesworth here with the royal theme.
We're going to see you down the road.
Bye.